The idea of buying a new home is so exciting. People just love to walk through model homes. It's a really fun thing to do. And just the thought of, oh man, I don't have to fix anything for a long time, repair, replace. I just get to add my own personal touches. I love it. So that's what people are thinking. But I have to tell you guys that there are some little hiccups here with new construction. There's some things that a lot of people do not anticipate. And in recent years, there are 3 of them at least that I see time and time again with new construction. So in this video, I want to share these things with you because they can cost you money, and it's money that you have not budgeted for. So I want to make you aware of what these potential missteps could be when it comes to new construction. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas, and each week I bring videos about real estate here in the Sarasota area and what it's like to live here in Florida. So if you have been thinking about maybe coming here or even leaving here, then this might be a good channel for you to subscribe to. But in the end, I encourage you to reach out to me, call, text, email me. We can even do a Zoom call if you want, so we can discuss what your needs are, what your thoughts are, to see if it's a good fit. Not everybody I talk to ends up buying here or moving here. It's got to be the right fit for you. So if you need to dig in a little deeper, have a one-on-one consultation, I'm happy to talk to you about that. So I've been selling real estate here in Sarasota for the last 15 years. And in the last 5 years, I've definitely sold more new construction than I did in the previous 10 years. And like I said in the intro, I'm seeing the same problems over and over again, and they're not going away. So I want to share these things with you so you are not surprised. Now, unfortunately, some of these problems are really unavoidable, but if you are aware that they could happen, most likely will happen, if you can be prepared for that and plan ahead, it can really save you a lot of money. So here are the 3 big missteps that can cost you money when it comes to new construction. Number 1, not anticipating delays. Now, this is going to be my longest point, but it's probably the most important, the most consistent point that comes across. And actually number 3 is as well. But this is definitely my longest one, so hang tight, but you really need to hear this if you are thinking about new construction. There have been delays with every home that has been built. Every single house. And it doesn't matter if it's a quick move in or anything like that. There are delays. And this is kind of how these things unfold. You get under contract. And like I said, it could be a quick move in where they've already started the house and they have an anticipated completion date or month or time frame, or maybe you're starting from scratch. And they will say something like, okay, this home is going to be ready next year, sometime between, let's say, May and July. So you think, okay, great. That's great. I can prepare for that. And maybe you have a home to sell. There's some other things involved with that. So you need the proceeds of that sale in order to buy this new home. Now, please do not think you can do a simultaneous closing. You can close on your house, wherever it's at right now, on the same day as closing this new construction. You do need to sell. You do need to find temporary housing. Now, don't sell any earlier than what you need to. Hang on to it or whatever works for you, but be prepared for that. So originally, right out the gate, you get under contract, they give you a wide time frame. Okay, you think I can deal with that, no problem. And you'd anticipate them narrowing it down as that time gets closer. Makes sense, right? And then you're looking at the house, you're seeing the house, maybe you're living here now, or often I'll go over and take videos and pictures for people so they can see updates, and you think, yeah, we are on track, no problem. I'm so excited, like we got to get rocking and rolling with this. I got to get everything in order. And like I said, maybe you get this rental, this temporary housing in place, and you tell the landlord, yep, listen, I just need it till the end of July. Like, I know we are going to be closing then. I'm good to go. And you're so excited. But then that's when it happens. There are delays. And maybe sometimes even earlier on, they'll say, oh, you know what? Now it's not going to be May to July. It'll be July to September. Okay, something like that. They'll change the time frame. And again, you get closer to the end, you look at the house, you feel like, man, I can move in right now the way it looks. But maybe there's some holdups. Maybe they don't have all the materials they need. I have so many different stories of things that hold up. Like right now, I've got a window that's cracked on the 2nd floor, and PGT sent out the wrong window to replace the current one. And so they had to wait for a new one. So that should have been done like a few days ago. So we'll see. But, or maybe glass enclosure for the shower, for the bathtub, things like that come up. And the problem is some of those things have to be done if you're going to get a loan. You have to have it to get the CO, the certificate of occupancy. And so those are the holdup. So this happens all the time. I have two people doing new construction, two totally different builders. They're both hopefully should close this week. Honestly, we were given closing dates about a month ago, and then they were changed to a couple weeks ago, and now hopefully this week. Both were waiting on the CO. One, everything's complete, just waiting on the CO. The other one, hopefully everything's done. Like I said, we got a broken window situation. We're waiting on the CO. The appraiser needs to go back out, look at the house, see what it looks like to make sure those things are complete. And we're supposed to close in 2 days. So we are down to the wire once again. And this is so common. In fact, I was texting with the lender this morning about the situation, talking about the appraiser going back out to look at the house. And I told him I was doing this video, and he goes, perfect example. Perfect example right here is what we're going through. But this happens all the time. And I don't need to name names. I don't need to say which lender it is, or which not lender, but which builder it is, because they're all like this. So, sometimes people ask me, okay, Jill, well, which builder is going to get the job done? Like stick to the time frame. It's not going to happen. And so that's the problem. So in the end, let's talk practicality. What does this mean to you? So like I said already, maybe you have to sell a home. So that's really important. And then you think, okay, well, I'm going to come down there and get a rental. I can pop in, see the house a lot, talk to the builder, the construction manager, have a good relationship with him. So that's all great. But of course, when you go to get that rental, you have to tell that landlord, that management company, the Airbnb people, whoever it is, okay, this is when I'm going to be out. And you think, okay, well, if let's say the house is going to be complete, okay, this is the month of August right now. So you say, okay, the house is going to be complete in August. I'll keep the rental through the end of August. And then you've got these delays. Well, what happens then if it gets delayed a month and you're rolling into September? Can you continue to stay in that rental? Do you have to find a new one? You have to pack up everything. Maybe you have to go to a hotel for a while. And like I said, here, I'm supposed to close on a property in 2 days. And we still don't know if we're going to close in 2 days because the house not being complete, not having the CO, the appraiser has to go out there. So there's a lot of moving parts with all of this. And the other thing too is those contracts say from the builder that if the buyer delays closing for any reason, that they have to start paying a dollar amount per day until they close. And it could be $200, $300, $400, $500. So they're forcing you to close lickety split, but they're the ones causing the holdups. So that's our situation. All right. Like I said, I know this first point's really long, but I want to give you practical steps to put yourself in a good position so that you're not homeless and you're not paying through the nose for like staying in a hotel or something like that. So first, I suggest that if you do get a rental, get that secured for longer than what you think you're going to need it for a month or two past that time. And maybe talk to the landlord. Maybe you can cut out earlier. Sometimes those folks are really good about working with buyers, sometimes not. And it's really a challenge. So keep it longer than what you think you need it for. Now you're thinking, okay, Jill, that's all fine and dandy, but what if I do close on time? What if it does happen and then I'm stuck paying for my new mortgage and I have to pay rent for an extra month or two? I don't want to be making double payments. That is costing me money, and you're telling me you want to save me money. Okay, well, here's something that kind of helps with that. What happens is when you close on a property and you're getting a loan, you actually do not make the first payment until a solid 30 days after you have lived in the property. So let's say you are closing mid-August. Well, you have to stay in the property for 30 days first, which takes you to mid-September. So that first mortgage payment is not due until October 1st. So you actually have a 1 month buffer where you can have your new house, but you're not paying for the mortgage yet. You haven't made a mortgage payment yet. Of course, you've had all your closing costs. So that's going to kind of help if you still have the rental property. The second thing is you have to factor in, okay, what if my closing is extended? It is going to be longer than what I thought. And you have to get out of that rental property. You can't stay there any longer. Okay, how much, do you have a lot of belongings in that rental property? How much do you have to physically move out of it? And then where are you going to go? You have to start all over with finding a place to rent. Or like I said, you're paying top dollar for staying in a hotel. So what's worse? And then the stress, the anxiety of moving everything, now you're maybe working here, you've got things going on. You don't have time for this at all. So you need to factor that in. And so sometimes there's different variables. Like everybody's situation is different, but what is most important to you? And so think that through quite a bit. Often people will go, but Jill, the builder said. and I get it. They usually kind of overpromise and underperform in that regard. They're very optimistic and hopeful. They do want to close with you. They want to get that house off the books. But like I said, I've got 2 properties right now that should have closed about a month ago, and they still haven't. And honestly, the one house should have closed. Well, we got under contract in February, and the house was, in my mind, nearly complete. Nearly complete. I mean, they still had to put in some countertops. There was some painting. There was definitely some things they had to do, but the air conditioning was in, the windows were in, drywall's done, texturing, doors are in, all of this stuff. And originally they said we could close in April, but maybe May. That's what the contract said, was maybe in May. And now here we are in August, and we still don't know when we're going to close. We're waiting on the CO. So now everything else is done, but Northport's dragging their feet on these things. So we're waiting and waiting and waiting. So that's very frustrating to a buyer. So the number one misstep you want to avoid is not expecting delays, because they are going to happen. I just haven't had any time where it wasn't delayed. And sometimes it's by a few weeks, sometimes it's months, not just a month. So you want to be very much aware of that. And then the next question I often get from people is, Jill, okay, how long do you think my house is going to take though? You've seen this, look at where we're at right now. How much longer? Okay, you see this all the time. And I get questions like that. And I appreciate the fact that people have confidence and faith in my word. But in the end, I really can't tell you, because there are these unexpected delays that nobody anticipated. Even the builder doesn't even anticipate. So I cannot say this is when I think your house is going to be ready. I can't tell you. So I'm really sorry to tell you that. So I know point number 1, very long, but this is so important, and it throws people off every single time. So if you can really get that, sink that into your head that this will most likely happen to you, then the better off you're going to be. And it'll help with those, expectations, anticipation, and you won't be quite as stressed out. So yeah, anticipate delays for sure. Number 2, the house will not be complete. Yes, that is true. Plan on your house not being 100% complete when you close. Basically, as long as that builder can get the CO, the certificate of occupancy, they're going to force you to close. Not an option. That is what's going to happen. And what will happen is the builder and the buyer will both sign a form stating they'll list everything that they understand is not complete. And then even after you close, don't think that they're going to make you top priority and they're going to get in there in the first week or 2 or even the first month to work on things. I'll often have people contacting me 4 or 5 months later. Jill, I'm bugging them. They're not getting it done. They're hardly acknowledging me. I feel like they're pushing me off. What do I do? I'm sorry to say, you just have to sit and wait. And like I said in point 1, if you delay closing, you're paying for that for each day. So if you dig your heels into the ground and say, well, I'm not going to close until you finish all this, you can do that, but they're going to charge you. So you want to be careful of that. So anticipate that. And sometimes things that aren't complete, like with one of the homes right now, they're supposed to put a piece of fence along the back of the property, and that's not done. So right now, that's the only thing that's going to be outstanding. So that's not too bad, because at least it's all exterior. But I've had people where they have dozens of things on the list, like maybe one house last year, all the windowsills got destroyed because they're made of wood. And before the AC got in, all the workers kept the windows open because it's hot out. And then rain got in, and then they all bubbled up. And then they just tried repainting over it. And we're like, nope, you got to actually sand them down, fix them, make it right. So things like that. A lot of issues with kitchen cabinets or bathroom cabinets, damage with that. Dented appliances, the wrong appliances, they don't have the right appliances, so they give you something temporary. Sometimes you can get an upgrade in appliances. So let's say it comes with KitchenAid. Maybe they'll give you a Whirlpool, something better. They can replace whatever it is that you purchased, but it has to be the same level or better. So I've seen a lot of people get Whirlpool appliances over KitchenAid because they can't get their hands on them. So that's a thing. But yeah, there's all sorts of issues that we can have. And as long as they can get the CO, you are closing. So just keep that in mind if you see that that's kind of might be happening with your house, because you don't want to plan any big parties or celebrations at your home, depending on the issues you're having. Now, if you just have windowsills that are a little messed up or a dent, in your refrigerator, okay, not the end of the world kind of stuff. You can deal with that. You just have to wait for those things to be taken care of. But sometimes there's a lot of big missing issues, and that really throws people off. So anticipate not everything being 100% complete. Number 3, super important. interest rates. So now a few years ago when people were doing new construction, it took a year, the interest rates were pretty stable. They were very low, and people would fuss a little bit like, oh, it went from 2.75 to, 3%, but still 3%. Crazy low. Now, people who went under contract a year or so ago when the interest rates were lower, like let's say around 3% in the threes, and now what are they? They're in the sixes, pushing 7. So what they thought they were going to be paying on a monthly basis a year ago is so different today. And the contract does not give you any wiggle room, anything because of interest rates. That's not a factor in the builder's mind. So you need to anticipate those things. Something else with interest rates that goes along with the delays in getting the house closed. This is what happens. You are thinking, yep, they tell us, okay, here's your closing date. It's, maybe 30 days out or so. Super, let's get that interest rate locked in. And then there's a delay. And what happens? If the interest rates go up, you need to pay money to keep that lock on the interest rate. And usually the lock, you have to, I'd have to consult a lender, but from what I gather, it's maybe for a couple of weeks. It all just depends. And then you think, okay, I'll pay the money. I'll pay $1,500 or whatever it is to lock it in for a couple of more weeks because they're telling me it's going to get done. I see the house looks good. It's almost there. And then you're delayed again and more money has to be paid to extend that lock. So again, that's more money you were not anticipating. So I caution you, and this is probably the hardest one to be knowing when to, really lock it in. Really, when do you lock in the interest rate? So be very mindful of that. Don't jump on it too quick unless the rates really dip low. Otherwise, maybe hang tight because otherwise you're going to be paying a lot of money to keep that rate locked. So really lean into that lender, talk about the reality of this house, and maybe have a good conversation with the builder on that with your construction manager about when to lock it in. And they'll just go, they might blow it off because they don't want any liability with that. They don't want, somebody to turn around and point fingers at them. But the interest rates are a big issue, and that's causing a lot of frustrations for buyers. Now, here's a bonus point for you. It's not so much something that will or won't save you money, but I really want to make you aware of this, and I've already mentioned it in this video, but these contracts do favor the builder, hands down. It does not favor you in any way, shape, or form, because sometimes buyers will go, well, I just won't close, or I'll just do this, or I'll just do that. And that's fine and dandy. But honestly, if you don't close, like I said, you're paying money per day, or you're at risk of losing your deposit. And those deposits are pretty hefty, what the builders demand these days. Before, you could kind of get away with maybe $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, even $10,000. Now they want $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. It depends on your price point. It depends, how much the house is, but it's pretty significant money. And so after you've invested and waited a year and you've got that kind of money on the line, it's really hard for you to walk away from it. So you need to make sure you read through that contract and understand that it does favor the builder. So if you do delay closing at all, you're paying money. If you have issues with getting the loan, you're paying money. If the house doesn't appraise, you are paying the difference. Before, the contracts did not address this, but now they do, where if the house doesn't appraise for the purchase price, you have to bring that much money in difference to closing. So let's suppose the house is selling for $650,000, and the house appraises for $630,000. That's a $20,000 spread. You are going to have to bring $20,000 extra to closing to make up that gap. So that's a big deal. So that's a newer one. Maybe in the last year we've seen that. So I want you to be mindful of that. So please know that those contracts do favor the builder. So you need to understand all the risk that you're taking when you go under contract. Now, obviously, thousands of people are doing it. I have people do this all the time. I will basically have this kind of conversation with the buyer before we really dig in deep with new construction, and then these problems come up and it's like, they're taken aback by it still. So just as long as you understand these things going into it, you'll be okay. And this is also what I encourage people is I just say, listen, hopefully this is the worst thing you've got going on with this house. And after this, it's going to all be in the past and you're just going to love your house for a long, long time. And I hope that's the case for you if you do decide to go with new construction. I hope I did not scare you away from considering new construction, but I think it's really important for you to understand the reality of it right now, even if you've built in the past, you've had a good experience, the way it works now is much different than what it has in the past. And sometimes it even might work differently from state to state. When I work with buyers, when they come down here and I start showing them properties in person, or even if I'm talking to them over the phone and we're emailing and they're considering different properties, I'm pretty quick to point out anything that I see as a potential negative. And I don't do that to scare somebody off or to talk them out of buying something unless it is a really old roof and you have to get insurance and the seller's refusing to replace it. Then I might just be like, guys, you really need to consider passing on this one. But I do that just so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. You understand risks. You understand what maybe a lot of people see as a negative. But if it's something that you are okay with, then it's okay with me. I'm not trying to push my opinion or my thoughts on you. I just like to help you to see everything for what it is, and then you can make up your mind. So I'm just here to help you out to navigate all of these waters. Like I said, if there's anything I could do to help you, please reach out to me. I really appreciate you watching my videos. Have a great day. Take care.